This is assignment 3.1, God is My CEO by Rebecca Renwick. So the first three key points that chapter 5 gives us are leadership by example, respect, and compassion. The first key point, leadership by example, is important because as a manager, it's important to lead by example. You set the standards for your staff and you should, live by your own word. So I quote from Julian that in essence, we are to reflect God's nature for others to see. The second key point of chapter 5 is respect, and respect is super important to remember as a manager. And I quote from Julian that the simplest guide is to follow the golden rule, Matthew 7:12. Do to others what you would have them do to you. I like to kind of rephrase this in my own words as in order to get respect, you need to give respect. Key point number 3 in chapter 5 is compassion, and I quote from Julian that our workplaces are desperately looking for people to express that kind of love. As a manager, it's important to remember to have compassion for not only your company, but also your employees and your staff, and even yourself. In chapter 6, we are given one key point of control. And I quote from Julian that if we live the day knowing God has a plan for our lives and is in control of all of our circumstances, we can learn to cooperate with the uncertainty of a sale, job promotion, or other change by performing the tasks we have in front of us. Now, I think it's really important as a manager to understand that some things are out of your control. You cannot control the company completely. Sometimes you just need to put your faith in God's hands and trust that He will guide you and your work and your company to where it needs to be. In chapter 7, we are given 4 main key points, and they are resources, respect, recognition, and reward. The first key point of chapter 7 is resources, and I quote from Julian that identify the resources needed to maximize employee performance. I really like this one because I am a huge fan of growing within your company. So if you are to give your employees and your staff the resources to learn and to grow, you are not only helping them, but you are also helping your own company. And respect, again, is a key point of chapter 7, but it is also just super important to remember. And I quote from Julian that respect begins with recognizing the employee as a unique individual rather than a body filling a job. Key point number 3 in chapter 7 is recognition, and I also really enjoyed this one because Julian states recognition can be free. He's very right by that because it is easy to just say, hey, good job, hey, I see you, you're doing awesome. Recognition can be free, and by recognizing an employee or a staff member, you're boosting their morale and you are boosting them in a way that will affect their performance. And sometimes we recognize people with reward. So key point number 4 in chapter 7 is reward. And I quote that the best way to reward employees is to ask them how they like to be rewarded. I think that sometimes verbal rewards are just enough, but even going out of your way and giving them a physical reward, whether it is their favorite piece of candy or something of that. And in chapter 8, we talk about love being the key point, and love builds healthy relationships amongst stakeholders. Love aligns employees' personal values with their work values, and love increases its probability of profitability and sustainability. Now, I'm not going to read this whole quote to you, but it really touched me when Julian said to dwell on 1 Corinthians from a business perspective. I have never even thought of it from a business perspective, but now when I look at it from a business perspective, that 1 Corinthians 13 can apply to work, that you need to be patient, you need to be kind, don't envy, don't boast, always have hope and always persevere. So in conclusion, as a manager in my current profession, it's important that I continue to lead by example. It is also important to be yielding control servant leadership. It's understanding that sometimes I won't have control over the situations our company may face. So I need to understand that God is there to help guide us. And I also need to remember to have love and compassion towards not only myself, but my staff, my employees, and my company.